Hello students, good morning all. This is Kavita, lecturer in computer applications, Government Degree College for Women, Khammam. In the last class, we have seen about the JavaScript data types, operators, and also some of the JavaScript objects and some methods. So today we are going to see about these conditional statements in JavaScript. Conditional statements in JavaScript. So when we are writing a program, there may be situations we need to adopt out of a given set of paths. In such cases, we need to use conditional statements that allow our program to make correct decisions and perform right actions. So this JavaScript supports conditional statements which are used to perform different actions based on these different conditions. In these conditional statements in JavaScript, we are having mainly three conditional statements. So the if-else statement. First is the if-else statement. So this if-else statement has three forms. One is the if statement, another one is the if-else statement, and next is the if-else and if statement. So here we are having the flowchart of this if-else. So first of all, we will start the program, and next we will check the condition. Here we will check the condition here. If this condition is true, here the true statement will be executed. If this condition is true, the true block will be here, directly it will come, the true block will be executed. Here, if the condition is false, automatically the false block is executed. This is the condition we are having. So if this condition is true, directly it will come and the true block will be executed. And if this condition is false, if this conditional is false, then automatically the false block will be executed. The false block will be executed and it come out of the loop. So this is the starting point. So this is the starting point we are having. So first of all, we'll execute the true block, and next one is it will execute the false block we are having. So this is the flowchart. This is the flowchart of this particular if-else statement. So here the if statement is of three forms. I told you first is the if statement. So the if statement is the fundamental control statement that allows JavaScript to make decisions and execute the statements conditionally. So it will execute the statements according to the condition. So first of all, it will check the expression. First of all, it will check the expressions. Here we are having the syntax of this if statement. If expression, here we are having the syntax. If expression. So the statement will be executed. If expression, the statement will be executed here. So if this expression is true, the statement will be executed. So if the expression is not true, so if the expression is false, automatically it will come out of this particular expression. Come out of this particular if loop. So come out of this particular if statement. So this expression is true only. If this expression is true only, the statements will be executed. So here a JavaScript expression is evaluated. If the resulting value is true, then the statements are executed. If the value is true, then only the statements will be executed. So if the expression is false, if this particular expression is false, then no statement will be executed. No statement will be executed. Most of the times you will use comparison operators while making the decisions. So mostly we will use the comparison operators while making the decisions. So this is about this if statement. This is about this if statement. If the condition is true, then the statements will be executed. If the condition is false, then no statement will be executed. That is about this if statement. So for example we are having here, so HTML body script type is equal to JavaScript we are having. Here I am taking one variable known as age. Is equal to 20. I have assigned it as a 20. Age is equal to 20. So if age greater than 18, here we are checking the condition. If age is greater than 18, so then we are writing here document.write qualifies for driving. So qualifies for driving. So if the age is greater than 18, he is qualified for driving. So here we are closing the script, we are closing the body, and here we are closing the HTML. So here we are having one condition. If age is greater than 80, then it will print qualifies for driving. So actually we are having age is equal to 20. So 20 is greater than 18. So we will get the output as qualified for driving. Qualifies for driving. So this is the sample example of using this if statement. Okay. Next is the if else statement. So the if else statement is the next form of control statement that allows JavaScript to execute statements in a more controlled way. So in the previous if statement, we have said if the condition is true only, then the true block will be executed. So if it is false, then no statement will be executed. But whereas in case of this if else statement, first of all we will check the expression. If this expression is true, then the true block will be executed. So if this expression is false, then the false block will be executed. So if the expression is true, the true block will be executed. Else statements to be executed if the expression is false. The false block will be executed here. So we are telling true or false. If this expression is true, then it will execute the above statements, else it will execute the below statements. So here JavaScript expression is evaluated. If the resulting value is true, the given statements in the if block are executed. If the expression is false, then the given statements in the else block are executed. So here we will see a sample example of this one. So we are having HTML body script type is equal to JavaScript. Here we have given age is equal to 15. So here we are checking the condition. If age is greater than 18, actually our age is 15. Here if age is greater than 18, so document.write qualifies for driving. So if it is not greater than 18, else it will execute the statements does not qualify for driving. So here we have taken the age is equal to 15. So here the condition is false. Then this block will be executed. So and here we are closing the script, we are closing the body, and we are closing the HTML. So the condition is false means then it will execute does not qualify for driving. Will execute, it will give the output as does not qualify for driving. So this is the sample example of this if-else statement in JavaScript. And next we are having if-else if statement. If-else if statement. The if-else if statement is an advanced form of this if-else that follows JavaScript. It make a correct decisions out of the several conditions. It make a correct decisions out of the several conditions here. So the syntax of this one is if expression, the statements to be executed if the expression is true. So if this expression 1, if the condition, if this expression is true, then the statements of the expression 1 is executed. Else, if expression 2, the statements will be executed for the expression true. So if else expression 3, statements to be executed if expression 3 is true. Else statements to be executed if no expression is true. If no expression is true. If this expression is true, then it will execute these statements. Otherwise, again it will check the condition. Again, if it is true, it will execute the expression 3. If it is true, then it will execute the statements. Otherwise, it will execute the statements. So, else if all the conditions are false. Else if all the conditions are false. So, here there is nothing special about this code, but it has just a series of if statements. It has a series of if statements. If is a part of the else clause of the previous statement. Statements are executed based on the true condition. If none of the statement is true, the else block is executed. The else block is executed. That means statements to be executed if no expression is true. That is, statements will be executed if no expression is true. This particular statement will be executed. So, this is the syntax of this if-else if statement. We can also call this as a nested if statement. We can also call it as a nested if statements. Here we are having a small example. Here HTML tag we are having, body tag, script type is equal to JavaScript, book is equal to maths. I am storing one variable known as book is equal to maths. So now we will compare the book with some of the subjects here. If book is equal to history, it will print it as history book. Else, if it is not history, if book is equal to maths, it will print as maths book. Else, if book is equal to economics, it will print it as economics book. Else, if either condition was not satisfied, then it will print the output as unknown book. It will print it as an unknown book. So, first if it will check for this condition, first condition. So, if it is equal to history, it will print history book. Next, it will check this condition. If it is maths book, it will print that one. Otherwise, it will check another condition, that is if book is equal to economics or not. So, if the book is not economics, then at last it will print it as a unknown book. Actually, in this particular book we have stored maths. So it is a maths book. It will print it as a maths book. Here we are closing the script. We are closing the body tag, and also we are closing the HTML tag. So the output will be math book. This is the sample example of using this nested if or if else if statement. And next we are having here JavaScript switch case. We are having the switch case. Switch statement is more efficient than repeated if-else if statements. This switch statement is more efficient than if-else if statement, or we can also call it as a nested if statement. It is more efficient than the nested if statement. So here, if you see the flowchart of this particular nested if statement we are having here. So first of all, this is the start of the program. First of all, we'll check the condition. We'll check the condition. If this conditional expression is, it gives one of the result. It gives one result. So based on this particular expression's result, the case values will be there. So if the case value, if this expression value is 1, then it will execute the case 1. If this expression value is 2, then it will go to the case 2 and execute the code block 2. It will execute the code block 2. If this expression value is 3, it go into the case 3 and the code block will be executed. Code block 3 will be executed. Otherwise, if this expression value is not 1 or 2 or 3, then it will execute the default block. And it will execute the code block n. It will execute the code block n. So that is the flowchart of this particular switch case statement. So here we will see the syntax of this one. So the objective of a switch statement is to give an expression to evaluate the several different statements to execute based on the value of the expression. First of all, it will execute the expression, and based on this particular expression value, it go into the cases. So the interpreter checks each case against the value of the expression until a match is found. If nothing matches, a default condition will be used. If nothing matches, the default condition will be used here. So actually, the syntax of this if switch statement is switch expression. So case condition 1, case 1, the statements will be executed. In this case 2, the statements will be executed. If it is the case 3, the statements will be executed. If no condition is satisfied, then the condition n statements will be, case n statements will be executed. So otherwise here default block will be executed. If the case value, but if the expression value is 1, the condition 1 will be executed. If it is 2, the condition 2 will be executed. If it is n, the condition n will be executed. So if neither the condition is satisfied, then it will execute the default statements. Here we will see the example of using this switch case. Example of using this switch case here. Here we are having the HTML tag, body tag, script value is equal to text. So we have taken one grade variable known as grade is equal to A. Document.write, enter switch block here. So switch grade, here we are having grade, that is the expression we are having. So actually we have stored grade is equal to A, then it will go to the case A. So if it is grade is equal to A, then it will go to the case A, document.write good job, break. So after, if it is A, grade is equal to A, then directly it will come into the case A and it will print as good job, and it will break the particular statement. It will break the switch statement and come out of this particular loop and come out of this particular statement here. So if it is B, then it will print document.write pretty good and it will break the loop. If it is C, it will print passed. If it is D, not so good. If it is F, failed, and it will break here. If neither any one of the condition is satisfied, then it will print the default, unknown grade. It will print it as a unknown grade. So next, document.write exiting the switch block. So that is the entering of the switch block, and this one is the exiting the switch block. If neither condition is satisfied, then it will execute the default. It will execute the default block here. So here we are closing the script, here closing the body tag, and here we are closing the HTML tag. So this is about this small example of this switch case statement. Switch case statement here. And next here entering the switch block, it will print the good job. This is the output of this previous example here. So exiting the switch block here, this is the output, it will be print on the screen. And next we are having JavaScript while loop. JavaScript while loop. The most basic loop in JavaScript is the while loop. The purpose of a while loop is to execute a statement or code repeatedly as long as an expression is true. That means mainly the purpose of this while loop is to execute a statement or a code block repeatedly as long as the condition is true, as long as the expression is true. So if it is true, the state of the repeated statements will be executed. So once the expression becomes false, the loop terminates. If it is false, the loop will be terminated. Here we are having the flowchart here. So first of all, it will check the while condition. So this is the conditional block. If this condition is true, it will come out of this statement and it will execute this particular code block. It will execute this particular code block. So automatically it will execute this particular code block, and again the statements will be repeated. Again it will check the condition. Again if it is true, again the code block will be executed. Again the statements, it will check the condition. So these statements will be executed until this condition is true. Until this particular condition is true. So if this condition is false, automatically it will come out of this for. Automatically it will come out of this particular loop. It will come out of this particular loop we are having. So that is about this while loop. That is the flow chart of this particular while loop here. So if this condition is true, then it will execute these statements. If this condition is false, it will come out of this loop. It will come out of this loop here. So here we will see the syntax of this one. So the syntax of while loop in JavaScript is as follows: while expression. So the statements will be executed if the expression is true. The statements will be executed if the expression is true. That is the syntax of this one. So if this condition is false, it will come out of this particular loop. So example we are having here: HTML body, script type is equal to text or JavaScript. Here I am taking one variable count. Is equal to 0. So this is the starting of the loop here. Here we are starting the loop here. So if while count less than 10, that means until this condition count value is less than 10, until then this particular count value will be executed. Until then the particular count value will be executed. Actually count value is equal to here 0. Count value is equal to 0. So it will come and check the condition here, while count less than 10 or not. So count value is equal to 0. It will check while count less than 10 or not. So if it is less than 10, that means 0 is less than 10. 0 is less than 10. Then it will print here current count 0. Count value is equal to 0. So the current count is equal to 0. So count plus plus, that means we are adding plus 1 to the count. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1 we are having. 0 plus 1 is equal to 1 we are having. So again count value is equal to 1. Again it will check the condition count less than 10 or not. So this 1 is again less than 10. This 1 is again less than 10. So again it will print count is equal to 1. Again we are adding 1 and count is equal to count plus 1. Again the count value will be equal to 2. 2 less than 10. Like that the loop will be repeating. Like that the loop will be repeating until this condition is true. Until this condition is true. So if this condition is false, so then it will be, the loop will be stopped. The loop will be stopped, and here we are closing the script, body and the HTML. So here this is the output of this previous program. So the count value is equal to 0, count 1, count value is equal to 2, count 2, count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Automatically it reaches the 10. Automatically it reaches the 10. So 10 not less than 10. 10 is not less than 10. That means 10 is equal to 10. Then it will print only up to 9, and it will print the output as loop stop. And it will print the output as loop stop. So like that, this is the output of this particular program. This is the output of this particular program here. So this is the small example of using this while loop. This is the example of this particular while loop here. And next we are having the do while loop. And next we are having do while loop here. So the do while loop is similar to the while loop, except that the condition check happens at the end of the loop. This means that the loop will always be executed at least once, given if the statement is false. So the main difference of this while loop and do while loop is, in while loop the condition will be checked first. In while loop the condition will be checked first. If the condition is true, then only the code block will be executed. So whereas in case of this do while, first of all it will execute the code, then only the condition will be checked. Then only the condition will be checked. Here we are having the flowchart here. Here we are having the flowchart. So first of all, here we will execute the statements. First of all we will execute the statements, and next we will check the condition. And next we will check the condition. So if this condition is true, it will go and execute the code block again. It will go and execute the code block again. So if this condition is false, automatically it will come out of this particular loop. It will come out of this particular loop. That means first of all the code block will be executed. That means here the statements will be executed first, and next the condition will be checked. So that means at least once the statements will be executed without checking the condition. Either it may be a true or false. Without checking the condition, so at least once the statements will be executed. That is the main difference between the do while loop. We can also say this while loop is the entry controlled loop. Entry controlled loop. Whereas in case of this do while is the exit controlled loop. We can say it as an exit controlled loop. So this is the syntax of this particular do while loop. So do, we are having the statements here, test statements to be executed, while expression. So after executing the statements only, we are checking the while expression. If it is true, again it will go and execute the statements here. Like that the loop will be repeating. So here we are having a small example. We are having HTML block here, body tag, script Java, count is equal to 0, while starting of the loop here, do. So current count is equal to count. That means count value will be 0 here. So the count value will be 0. Next count is equal to count plus plus. That means we are adding plus 1. We are adding plus 1 here. So while count less than 5. Already count is equal to 0. 0 plus 1, 1. 1 is less than 5. 1 is less than 5. So again it will go and again execute the statements. Again it will go and again it will execute the statements. That is count value is equal to, already count value is equal to 1. 1. It will print it as 1 here. Again count is equal to count plus 1. So already plus 1 means 1 plus 1, 2. We will get 2 here. So again it will go and again it will execute these statements. Again it will print the value of 2. Like that the loop will be repeating. So at last, after that, if this value is equal to 5, then it will close the body tag and also the HTML tag, and it will print it as stop, loop stop, and it will print it as loop stop. So that is about this example for this do while loop. Do while loop. Next we are having here JavaScript for loop. We are having the for loop. So here in this for loop, the for loop is the most compact form of looping. It includes the following three important parts. We are having three important parts in this for loop. So first is the loop initialization, next one is the test statement, and next is the iteration statement, and next one is the iteration statements. So first of all, what is the loop initialization? The loop initialization where we initialize our counter to a starting value. The initialization statement is executed before the loop begins. So before the loop begins, first of all, in for loop we must give the initialization statements. In for loop we must give the initialization statement here. Next we are having the test statement. That means we must check the condition statement here. So the test statement which will test if a given condition is true or not. That means we will check the condition if it is true or not. If the condition is true, then the code given inside the loop will be executed. If it is true, the code will be executed within the loop. Otherwise, that means if the condition is false, the control will come out of the loop. If the condition is false, automatically the control will be come out of the loop. And the third one is the iteration statement. The iteration statement. So here the iteration statement where we can increase or decrease our counter value. Increase or decrease our counter value. So mainly in for, first of all we will initialize the counter value, and next we will just check the condition. If this condition is true, the statements will be executed within the loop. If this condition is false, automatically it will come out of the loop. So the third one is the incrementing or decrementing the counter value. Incrementing or decrementing the counter value. So first of all here we will enter into the loop. So first of all here we will check the condition. We will check the condition here. If this condition is true, it will go and execute the true block. It will go and execute the conditional code. If this condition is false, automatically it will come out of the loop. It will come out of the loop here. This is the flow chart of this for loop. And next we are having the syntax of this particular for loop here. The syntax for loop in JavaScript is as follows. For initialization, we have discussed it previously. For initialization, next is the text condition, next is the iteration statements. Either it may be a increment value or a decrement value. So the first it will initialize. First of all, it will initialize, and next it will check the condition. If this condition is true, the statements will be executed. After executing, next the iteration statement will be taken. Again the condition, it will check the condition. Again if it is true, it will execute the statements, and next again the condition. Next, like that the loop will be repeating. So that is about the syntax of this particular for loop here. Example, we are having an example. HTML body tag, script type is equal to text or JavaScript here. Where count, I am taking one variable known as count. So the count value here I am initializing the count value. Here I am initializing the count value. Count value is equal to, first of all it is equal to 0. So 0 is less than 10. Next we will check the first count value is equal to 0, and next we will check the condition count less than 10 here. Count less than 10. Then if document.write, here we are incrementing the, here we are printing the count value. Here printing the count value here. Again the incrementing this one. Again checking the condition. Again printing the count value. Like that the loop will be repeating in the for loop. So here we are closing the script, here closing the body, and here we are closing the HTML tag here. So So this is the small example of this for loop. Here we are having the output here. Starting, first of all, starting the loop, it will print. So current count value is equal to 0, and next is the so on like that. It will print up to 9. It will print up to 9. So here we have the condition as 9 less than 10. 9 less than 10, this condition is true. So if it is 10 less than 10, 10 less than 10 means the condition is false. The condition is false. So automatically the loop will be stopped here. The loop will be stopped and it will come out of this particular for loop. The loop will be stopped and it will come out of this particular for loop. This is the output of this particular for statement. So these are the different conditional statements we are having in JavaScript. In the next class, we will discuss some more. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.